Hello, and it's lovely to be back on Around the Wickets on ThePapare.com, and I thought it's very appropriate to talk to you today, particularly in view of Sri Lanka's tour of Bangladesh. Now, as we know, Sri Lanka hasn't had the best of times in 2017. I've been handed over some stats of Sri Lanka, particularly in the ODIs. In 2017, they've played 29 games and they've just won 5 and lost 23. Now, that's a record the Sri Lankans would want to erase in 2018. Now, to do that, the Sri Lankans have looked at doing a few things differently. For example, the much talked of Chandika Hathurusinghe, the whole of Sri Lanka was hoping that Chandika Hathurusinghe would join the Sri Lankans, and I thought it was timely that he decided to put his hand up and join the Sri Lankan team. Now, he's come in as the head coach. Now, that is a very good sign, very positive in terms of a development for Sri Lanka. So, he's there as well. And then the Sri Lankans have taken the unprecedented step of reappointing Angelo Matthews as the ODI captain. Now, since 2012, Matthews, well, he's at a decent record as a one-day captain. He's won 47 out of 98 games and lost 45. So, very even in terms of defeats and victories. But Angelo Matthews, with all his experience, has been given back the mantle of captaincy. So, interesting to see what the thinking is, but it appears to be more of a long-term strategy, I should say, for Sri Lanka, because ThePapare, well, I was excited for him, honestly, and I liked the way he led the side, particularly in those T20 series when Sri Lanka was defeated quite heavily by Pakistan in the one-day series. I thought the Sri Lankans were losing their momentum, their shoulders were dropping, heads were dropping in that series, but then ThePapare's leadership infused some new thinking. Certainly some life, and I got excited, honestly, to see the aggression and how the Sri Lankans responded to him. But unfortunately, the selectors seem to think that ThePapare needs to wait a little bit longer, and I believe where it all went wrong for him is his personal performances hasn't really been anything to write home about. So, Angelo Matthews reappointed as captain, Dinesh Chandimal test captain. Now, the Sri Lankan side is a very settled, or a much better and a more settled look about them going forward. And 2019 World Cup obviously is the target, and every team would be targeting to try and win that event. Now, from a Sri Lankan point of view, before I get into the series, the tri-series that the Sri Lankans are going to play and their tour of Bangladesh, few interesting lineup changes. For example, Dinesh Chandimal, who was thought of as someone who couldn't play ODI cricket, back in the side. So, he's in the ODI side, so is Kusal Mendis, and there is this young kid, the rookie fast bowler Shehan Madhusankar, who's been included in the ODI side. Now, I had the great privilege of watching him in the recently concluded T10 in Dubai, where he played for a Sri Lankan 11, and I was very impressed. He's a strong lad, can really run in, bend his back and bowl quite quickly. And I believe there is someone very special in the making here in Shehan Madhusankar. Now, so that's about the Sri Lankan lineup in terms of the Bangladesh tour. Now, looking at the Bangladesh tour per se, I think the Sri Lankans have got a fairly decent opportunity to win this triangular series involving Zimbabwe and Bangladesh. Now, the series kicks off on the 15th of January when Bangladesh plays Zimbabwe, and Sri Lanka will be playing their first game on the 17th of January. That will be against Zimbabwe. Then they play Bangladesh on the 19th, and then they play Zimbabwe on the 21st. Then after which Bangladesh, Sri Lanka play again in Dhaka, and the final, hopefully, Sri Lanka will play on the 27th of January in Dhaka. Now, the series starts with a triangular between Zimbabwe, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, and this would give the Sri Lankans a very good opportunity to test the waters and also see how the side blends and responds to the new coach Chandika Hathurusinghe, who I think might be under some pressure going back to Bangladesh. He is definitely going to have some very aggressive people at him, shouting at him. The Bangladeshi is very passionate about their cricket, and they would really want to get back at Chandika Hathurusinghe for leaving them and joining the Sri Lankan team. Now, after the triangular series, the Sri Lankans would play a two-test series involving Bangladesh. That's the first test in Chittagong. That starts on the 31st of January. The second test starts on the 8th of February in Dhaka. And then the two T20s on the 15th and 18th at Dhaka and Sylhet, at which point the the tour ends. So I believe the Sri Lankans have got a brilliant opportunity to start off the new year on a winning note. They've got a lot of things. They've ticked most of the boxes. They've got a settled looking side, particularly in the test series. I like to see how the one-day side would respond. They've got a good coach. They've got a stable captain. And the only threat as far as they are concerned is the home advantage Bangladesh has. Now, Bangladesh have also quite a settled side, but without a settled coach, without their long-term coach, Bangladesh are looking for a coach who could take over and take this side forward. So that could be used by Sri Lanka to their advantage. And also, Bangladeshis will be under some pressure where they would want to get back at Chandika Hathurusinghe. They would want to prove a point. So it depends as to how they would respond to that pressure. But I get the feeling, playing at home and expected to win, they may be struggling a little bit. While the Sri Lankans, they'll have nothing to lose. I don't think the Zimbabweans will be that much of a threat because they've just been defeated by South Africa in a test match. Zimbabwe, the white ball side is a better side than a red ball side, but I still want to back Sri Lanka to win the triangular series, the test series and the T20 series. I know it's a big call considering the way the Sri Lankans played the 2017 year, that is their cricket in 2017, but look at the record, particularly towards the end. 1-0 defeat to India in India, to me, is as good as winning that series because England, Australia, South Africa, they've all suffered in India. The one-day series, winning the first game, losing the next two, lost the series, yes. But you will agree that the Sri Lankans performed well in the one-day series. Yes, they lost the first game, won the first game, I beg your pardon, but lost the next two games. But I like the way they performed. Yes, the T20 series, they did lose. But let's look at the Pakistan series. Won the test series. Then the Indian series, as I said, has been an improvement. And overall, I'm very impressed with the way the Sri Lankans are progressing. As I said, a stable test side with a stable captain, a stable one-day captain, a good coach. Things are looking good for Sri Lanka. So I believe 2018, Sri Lanka can start on a winning note. So that's the story as far as I'm concerned on Around the Wickets on ThePapare.com, and I hope to come back next time with winning news for you. Thank you for joining us. See you soon.